Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Seiben here for Aether Hub HQ, and today I'm doing a super late FNL, because I'm bad at life and time management. Anyway, FNL is supposed to be Friday Night Lore, the series that combines the game's story with giveaways on the stack. But it's Wednesday and I have no clever titles. Still, we have lore and loot. In today's video, we got the not-so-latest developments from Hour of Devastation, and I'm super excited about this one, guys, because it finally features some story featuring my boy, Rhonas the Indomitable. Rhonas is probably my favorite of the known gods on Amonkhet, at least in card form, and I've been bummed that we've heard practically nothing about him and his trials in the official articles. Well, I hear tell that he's in this week's article, and I just can't wait. I hope Wizards of the Coast doesn't crush my dreams as they tend to do. Preview spoilers, please. But I mean, what could go wrong, right? Rhonas is the god of strength, plus he has the head of a cobra, so he can't fail, right? This is gonna be good, guys, so let's get moving with the Hour of Glory. The hours are finally here, the time when the gods of Amonkhet knew their creator would again appear to them and usher in paradise, not only for them, but for the people of their world. For all they know, they have been crafted to represent the God-Pharaoh's traits while he's away, and all his benevolence and wisdom. Each god was honored with the task of teaching and training the people, his other creations, in order for them to be deemed worthy in their father's eyes. This was their reality. What they truly believed. A lie. Now it was time for the gods to finally fulfill their purpose, to meet their God-Pharaoh and be deemed worthy themselves. All five had gathered to witness the hours as they took place. The Luxor River turned red with blood, the gate to the afterlife swung open, but still no sign of the God-Pharaoh. Rhonas was there with the others, watching as their people, the mortals they were tasked with protecting, reacted in horror as the world churned around them. The wildlife died, the gate showed no promised paradise, and a demon had just moments ago cackled through the sky. They were worried, and so were the gods. In this moment of doubt, the Luxor began to shift current. The once still blood began to pass through the gate and up into the necropolis that lied beyond. The red glowed with the light of the two suns above, as an ancient spell took hold and began to weave its way through the entire structure. The crimson tide laced with magic had awakened sleeping giants, long since forgotten to Amonkhet. Statues burst forth from the base of the necropolis, not statues, but giant sarcophagi, holding true monsters prisoner for the last 60 years. The beasts were giant, standing taller than even Rhonas, with mouse-shapen bodies, hulking with muscle. Though they had humanoid bodies, their heads were that of insects, bugs found on Amonkhet, a scorpion, a scarab, and a locust. Rhonas knew immediately, despite their monstrous forms, these were immortals, just like them. The locust and scarab gods seemed to lag behind, willing to let the scorpion god take the first steps into the city. The people huddled around the gods seemed to murmur amongst themselves. This is clearly not how the promised return was supposed to go. Still, Rhonas stepped forth to introduce himself. This was a being of the God-Pharaoh, undoubtedly. Whether it be foe or a test, Rhonas would be deemed worthy. His voice boomed. "I am Rhonas, god of strength. Who are you and why have you awakened during this hour of glory?" Of course, he would find no response. The scorpion adorning this god's head chittered and cackled as it stepped through the empty river towards a collection of people near the bank. Rhonas faced the god again. "Whether you are a harbinger of our God-Pharaoh's return, or an interloper conspiring against the hours, you shall proceed no further." Yet the scorpion god was defiant, taking another step, a step too far. "You shall not defy a god of Amonkhet. We stand guard over this city and its people. If you are my trial, then I will defeat you and prove myself worthy." The scorpion god took the first action, charging towards the god in a lumbering fashion. Rhonas is a skilled warrior with a strength far beyond anything else on Amonkhet. He used his bladed staff to parry, dodge, and strike into the thick carapace of the scorpion god. While no blow found any weakness, Rhonas refused to slow the assault. Rhonas had from time to time fought beasts and horrors out in the open wastes bigger than him, but while tussling with the scorpion god, he discovered that he had finally found an opponent stronger than him, stronger than the god of strength. This was truly a test from the God-Pharaoh, pushing the gods past their limit to be found worthy, and Rhonas would not fail. He channeled a spell through his very core, the mana that made up his physical form, the mana of the world itself. Through his staff it was channeled, and with a thrust, the God Scorpion was hurled miles away, back through the gates out into the wastes. It was a victorious moment. Yeah, there's my boy Rhonas. I knew you could get him. Even though the Scorpion God's probably a little better and stronger than you both in-game, and lore, you still found a way to beat him. How inspiring. But that wasn't the end of this fight. The Scorpion God rose again and stepped back into the city. Rhonas was shocked, but didn't show it. He was proud of his strength, but taken aback, for that spell had never failed to end a fight before. This time the Scorpion God didn't charge, but skulked in a wide circle around Rhonas. Rhonas was first to strike this time, impatient and fueled with adrenaline. The Scorpion God was even slower now, basically taking each strike as they came, blow after blow, until his carapace cracked and Rhonas plunged his blade, laced with poison, through the break and into its meaty flesh. The venom took hold. The Scorpion God fell to its knees. The trial was passed. Rhonas had succeeded and was found worthy. So he and the other gods thought. Before he could even open his mouth to speak of his victory, he felt the incredible speed of his opponent catch him off guard. The Scorpion God had grappled Rhonas, seemingly unaffected by the poison. The stinger atop its head reeled back and plunged itself deep into the skull of Rhonas, piercing the mortal coil of a god. The world laid stunned. This is where we see the card Hour of Glory, with the Scorpion God performing this fatal move. Great card at instant speed for 3 generic and 1 black that exiles the target creature. And for flavor, if it was a god, you can exile other cards of that name from your opponent's hand as well. I will say though, Rhonas' face here is a little awkward. Anyway, back to the story. Rhonas was slain. He knew his life would be extinguished as he felt the Scorpion God's poison take hold through his veins. An immortal had fallen to his trial, found unworthy. As this poison broke down the physical body storing its intense spirit and mana, an ancient knot that was tied within him began to unfurl. It was a clump of mana manipulated by a powerful force that had made all the gods forget. It twisted their reality into a false narrative, but as the poison broke him down, it all came rushing back to him. There were 8 gods, not 5. The God-Pharaoh was not a creator, but trespasser, corrupter, corrupting the gods, corrupting the ancient trials, killing the people, enslaving the gods. Nicol Bolas, the great deceiver. He looked back and up at the Scorpion God, a lost brother who was once beloved by them all, who once shared in their sacred duties. Rhonas could still see a light deep within him, but it was covered in so much shadow. The work of Nicol Bolas. Knowing all this did nothing to save him, however. Rhonas collapses and the other gods feel a massive pull from the world. From within their very beings, one of their own had fallen. The Scorpion God turned his attention to the other gods, who stood in attention ready to fight. But Rhonas had one final trick up his sleeve. Pooling all of his remaining strength and magic into his staff, he hurls it at the Scorpion God, having it magically transform into a giant serpent that wraps itself around the god and attacks. Before he falls down dead, Rhonas screams one final plea. Death to the God-Pharaoh, foul trespasser and destroyer. This is where we see the card Rhonas' last stand, so far the best to me in the god's last cycle. But that's only because I'm kind of an aggro player at heart, and it doesn't get more aggro-y than a 5/4 snake for 2 green. Sure, you can't use your tapped mana next turn, but hey, it only costs 2, and I'd gladly not play anything turn 3 for a 5/4 turn 2. In that moment, the other gods were lost to confusion. Their brother had died, but at that final moment, blasphemed against their God-Pharaoh. Why? Regardless, this was not supposed to happen. The hours had gone awry. Now it was the gods' duty to protect the mortals at all costs. The people were huddled as the Scorpion God breaks the enchanted snake in 2, and the other forgotten monsters begin their march on the city. The locust god lifts its arms and a cloud of insects emerge. The locusts begin to gnaw at the edges of the Hekma, the magical barrier protecting the city from the monsters beyond. This was the hour of promises, when the God-Pharaoh would knock down the Hekma. Kefnet cried out in panic. Oketra notched an arrow and readied herself to fight. This was not the end they were promised, but it was the end they needed to fight. Wait. Rhonas lost. A god, an indestructible god, died? In the first story to actually feature my favorite god, and he's killed off. Bravo, Wizards of the Coast, you finally found a new way to hurt me. What did the Scorpion God do? Exile him? I guess with poison it was -1/-1 counters, right? I can't believe this shit. Okay, after letting off some steam opening packs, I've come to my senses. You know, Rhonas fought with strength and honor, but if I've learned anything from Game of Thrones, that doesn't always mean you'll win. Regardless, you did well, Rhonas. My hat's off to ya. But we're gonna have to plan that funeral later because this is FNL and that means it's giveaway time. And what better loot for this story than a copy of Rhonas the Indomitable himself. Now you can remember this brave god in your own collection. Just leave a comment on this video and make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. We also have last week's winner of FNL, which was for a copy of Liliana Death's Majesty. That card's going to the commenter CenterFrang19073, who made fun of how I pronounce that card's name. Congrats! Making fun of me wins you cards. You hear that, you cravens? It's open season on me. Anyway, congrats on winning FNL. Just send me a message on Twitter at SeibenLore or email me at etherhubtcg@gmail.com. I just want to thank everyone for joining the hub for another great but late FNL. Make sure you keep the love coming by liking and sharing the channel. Let's get the hub to 50k subscribers so we can do even more giveaways. As always, thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here at Aether Hub HQ. Hey guys, thanks for watching the Aether Hub here on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, support the channel and all our creators by liking, sharing, and of course subscribing so you never miss our latest video. You yourself can become an honorary hub member by visiting our store at www.etherhubtcg.com. We have a special pre-order event happening right now where you can snag some of the best deals on packs available. Afterwards, consider visiting our friends over at 5 Color Combo. They have an amazing free app that I use to practice my limited picking skills along with custom art playmats and tokens. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, never be afraid to feed your obsession. I'll see you guys next time.